So, as I said, we're going to start with chapter 17. But before we do that, tell me what the 6 characteristics of all Latin verbs are. You might want to take notes. I'm just saying, you engage your brain and your hand and it all works together. Okay, so 6 characteristics of Latin verbs. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't go too low or it doesn't go on the video. Okay, who's got 1? Any 1? Characters. Tense, yes. We'll put tense number 4. Okay, how many tenses are there in Latin?
3.
That's a good guess. There's 3 in the present system. Okay? How many tenses in Latin? Now, English isn't, we might have more or less. We have our English expert here. Yay! That helps me so much. Okay? So, how many in Latin? Anybody? Close? 6. I don't know who said 6. Okay. Now, when we list them, we want to list them in order because we want to keep track of our forms in order. Okay? So, we list them in order. So, what's the first tense you ever learned?
Present.
Present. Okay, what's the next one?
Imperfect.
Imperfect. Future. Okay, what's next? Okay, and these are all built on what? What do we call this system? Those 3. Present system. Yep. Okay. Okay, what are the next 3? We'll get there in a minute. First one before pluperfect.
Future.
That's after that.
Perfect.
Just perfect. Yep. Plain old perfect. Okay. Now, pluperfect and future perfect. And future perfect. Okay, these are built on what system?
Perfect.
Perfect system. Okay? All right, so we have 1 characteristic of Latin verbs, which is tense. Okay, what's another characteristic? Conjugation is the first one. And who knows how many conjugations there are?
4.
That's right. And you know what they're called?
The infinitive.
Oh, those are.
No,
that's the principal parts. That's right. What? This always stumps people. First, second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
Okay. First, second. But it's surprising people don't know that. But every verb is going to go in one of those conjugations. Okay, those are like the verb families, and we call them conjugations. Okay, so we got 2 characteristics. We got 4 more to come up with.
Voice.
Voice, great. And how many voices are there? Luke, you've learned them all. So what do you got?
2.
2, and what are they?
Active and passive.
Active and passive. And we're going to jump over the active today and start right in on passive, okay? Because you guys are beyond active. Some of you are beyond passive, but it's a good review. Okay? We got 3. What else we got?
Singular plural.
Yep, that's called number. Number. We've got 2, singular plural. Okay?
Gender. Or no.
Yeah,
that's
for a little bit of gender when we get into passive perfect, but nouns are mostly gender.
Yeah.
But you're right, we do have a little bit, but we won't put that up here. So 2 more things. Person, yes. And how many persons do we have?
3.
3. And what are they called?
First person, second person.
First, second, and third person. Excellent. We're going to use all of this, okay? So it's really important. Okay, so who remembers the last thing? If you were just finished, go for it.
I forgot the mood.
But you just said mood, right?
Yeah.
Mood. Excellent. Okay, now, Luke is the only one who might know all 3 moods. But I don't know how far anybody gets in any class. So,
We can go over this over and over again in our class.
okay, that's okay. It's summer break, Anybody know a mood?
Subjunctive.
Indicative would be our first one. Okay, so we have 3 moods. And we have indicative, we have subjunctive, and we have imperative. Okay? Excellent. Okay, so I'll get you a moment to, I might ask you this for a few weeks, so I'm sure that you guys have this down. Okay? It's really important as we're looking at our verbs that we can tell everything about it. We can take each verb and say all these 6 characteristics. And then it makes the sentence a lot easier to translate if we know those things. So you guys all good? Okay. So, now Luke, you mentioned those infinitive. When we get a verb in our vocab, how do they give it to us?
Usually with like the 4 principal parts.
Excellent. 4 principal parts, right? Okay. So let's use a model. We'll just use a first declension model. Okay, our first declension model, what word do we use? I use laudo. Okay, laudo is usually what our book uses is laudo. So we have laudo. This is first conjugation is very regular. So except for 4 words, they all are conjugated with those 4 principal parts. Now let's just talk about this a second so we know, did you know that these 4 principal parts are there to give you everything you need to translate a verb in all its tenses? Okay, so everything you need to know about a verb is right here. Okay, just in case, I don't know if you knew that or not. Okay, so how do we go to find the conjugation a word belongs to?
It's imperfect stem without the RE.
Okay, so infinitive. So this is called our, good, Luke, this is called our infinitive. Okay, so as Luke told us, we go to the second principal part to find our stem. We drop the RE. It also tells us our conjugation. Okay, so first conjugation, infinitive ends in ARE. Second, ERE with a macron. Third, ERE no macron. And fourth, IRE. So that's their families. Okay, now what system does this give us a stem for? Present system. Okay, so we get our present system right here. Okay, and it's our infinitive. Okay, what is this? Okay, this is always our first person singular. Okay, first person singular, present. Okay, so you know what that's going to be. This gives you your stem. This gives you your first person singular. Okay, what's this one? Perfect. Okay, this is your perfect. Okay, so it gives us our perfect system. Who remembers how to find our stem for the perfect system? Anybody? Any takers?
Drop the I.
Drop the I. It's really important. There's your stem. And we already said what 3 tenses, perfect, pluperfect, future perfect, all built on that. Okay, what's this? Anybody know the name of this 4th principal part?
Past participle.
Okay, past participle. Okay? And often it's the PPP. Passive past participle. Okay? So that you have, that's what you're going to use your 4th. You're going to use it for other things too, but we're first going to see it in our passive. Perfect. Okay? Actually, I shouldn't use that word, past. I should use the word perfect. Perfect passive participle. Okay? All right. How many of you have done a really good job of when you get your vocab, you memorize all 4 principal parts? Any takers? No. Do you know how important it is? If you need each of those for something different, it behooves you, when you learn the word, to memorize all those. Do you see why? I mean, it's so important. Okay? Hello, how are you? Okay, so let's just review our regular endings. So for present tense endings. Let's just say them together. Ready? Ost, mus, tis, und. Imperfect. Bom, bas, bat, bamus, batis, bant. How about future? Bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitis, bunt. What about future third and fourth? What do you got for that? Are we going to use bo, bis, bit? No. We have to remember that. Es, et, emis, etis, ent. Does that trick you guys up? When you come up to it? It's really hard. How's the only way you can keep track of whether you use bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitis, bunt, or es, et, emis, etis, ent? What's the only way to know which one to use for future? You have to know what conjugation a word belongs to. And how do you know what conjugation a word belongs to? You have to know the four principal parts, right? So when you come up on a word and then you just see it all the time, there's no way to know. Because remember, second conjugation, moneo, mones, monet, has that E in it present. But mito, metes, metet, or meta, metes, metet, has the E in the future. So if you don't know which one of those go in which conjugation, it's really hard to know then if you have a present or a future tense. That's probably the biggest mistake I see, is switching those two things up. So how about the endings for perfect? E, isti, it, imis, istis, erunt, okay? And then, erunt, yep. And then for pluperfect, eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, erant, okay? And future perfect, ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritis, erint. Remember, it's erint because we already used erunt, okay? So it's got to be erint. And I know you guys all know that, so we're just reviewing. So now we want to talk about passive. Okay, what is the difference between active voice and passive voice? And by the way, we're starting at chapter 17 in this book. Yeah, just that's just a FYI. In the Henley book, we're starting at chapter 17. So what is the difference between active voice and passive voice? Will's got it? Okay, Will. Okay, that's okay.
Tell her.
Tell me.
In active, the subject is doing the action. In passive, the subject is receiving the action.
Excellent. Okay, so in active voice, the subject is doing the action. In passive voice, the subject is receiving the action. And we're going to talk about a couple different ways that looks like. One of the things I think is really helpful is if you can add the saying, "by zombies," at the end, after the verb, okay, then you know you have a passive voice, okay? So if you say the boy is hitting the ball, okay, does "by zombies" work out by that? No, the boy is hitting the ball. It sounds like the boy is the subject. He's doing it, right? Okay? The ball is being hit. Can you add "by zombies"? By zombies, right? So that works. So you know you have what voice if you can add "by zombies"? Passive. Okay? So as you're going along, and we'll look at some of that, you will ask yourself that question. Can I put "by," and if you don't like zombies, you can use something else. By the boy. Okay? The ball is being hit by the boy. Okay? Seems like it's easier to think about zombies and remember that. Okay? Okay, so you understand how passive works. The subject is now receiving the action. Okay, it's not doing the action anymore. How do we form the passive? Okay, so how are we going to recognize when a verb is passive in Latin, not in English? Okay? Okay, some of you, we finished, it was pretty recently in what we just did. Other of you, this might have been a while ago. Josh, remind me what challenge you just finished.
B.
Okay, B. Okay, can you tell me your name?
Joseph.
Joseph, what challenge did you just finish?
A.
Okay, A. Oh, you're just having a good time. Oh, you guys in the same class? Awesome. Okay. Okay.
Is it from the fourth principal part?
We'll get there next week. Okay, but today we're just going to do passive present system. Okay, but we will use that because what do we call this? Perfect passive participle. So we're going to use this fourth principal part when we do the perfect passive. Okay, but to form the present passive system, which remember, okay, if you think of the present system, what three tenses do you have? Present, imperfect, and future. Okay, so we're going to form all three of those passive. And I'm going to tell you this is one of the easiest things to do. Okay, this is not difficult at all. Okay, to form the present passive system is not difficult. All you have to know are what the passive personal endings are. Does anybody know the passive personal endings? So instead of OST, mustis unt,
I know the first one.
what is it?
Or.
Or are. Okay, or, who's got the next one?
Ris.
Ris, ter, mer, mini, inter. Great. Okay, so let's just say that a couple times. Ready? Ar, ris, ter, mer, mini, inter. Again. Ar, ris, ter, mer, mini, inter. Got it one more time? Ar, ris, ter, mer, mini, inter. Okay, and everybody, you've all done this, right? Except for you. Okay, he hasn't done it. But everybody else, you've done the passive, right? So this is just a review for you. Okay? So if we're going to put passive endings on present, imperfect, and future, which is the present system, where do I find the stem? Where do I find the present system stem? The infinitive. And it's the same in the present, in the passive, as it is in the active voice. We still go to the second principal part, okay, to find our stem, even though we're going to make it passive. Okay, so let's do that. This is not the best eraser in the world. Okay, so what was our laudo stem? Lauda, right? So I'll just... Hey, let's talk about our 6 characteristics again. So we got what? Singular, plural. What do we have here? First, second, and third person. Okay, so we'll put our stem how many times?
6 times.
6 times, right? Hey, who's got the magic chart? You're following along with me in case we make any mistakes. Okay, Mrs. Zinn is going to keep us honest. Because do we make mistakes? Absolutely. Okay? So what are our passive personal endings? We got our stem. Ar, ris, ter, mer, mini, and inter. Okay? This isn't right, is it? It's
This
or,
is
right?
or.
Yeah. So sometimes it's or. It's are or it's or. Okay? And like we know, laudo is going to be laudor. Okay, does that make sense? I mean, because this is our first person and our present anyway. So it's so let's just say it. Laudor, laudaris, laudator, laudamer, laudamini, laudantor. How do we're not going to do it all because we don't have time, but how would we translate this? There's 2 different ways we can translate it. I am being praised. Good. So let me get a different color. Okay, I'll put that under here. I am being praised. Okay, and what else? I am praised. You guys are great. Okay, I am praised. Okay, so I love using the being or the been because that lets you know you have passive. But it's not always going to be in there. So you really need to know both of them. So, Mrs. Major, what do we always have with passive? What do we call this?
The past participle.
We need a past participle. If you do not have a past participle as part of your verb here, your translation, you don't have a passive. It's true every time. Okay, so if you are saying, I am praising, do you see how the subject is doing it? Okay, you haven't used a past participle. I am praised, you can hear that you now have passive. You're praised by something, right? Okay? So you have to have a past participle in every passive form. Whether it's the present system or the perfect system, you have to have a past participle. Okay? Now, we're only going to do that one translating. I am being praised, you are being praised, he, she, or it is being praised. How do you think we're going to make this imperfect? What is our imperfect sign? What two letters do we add to a verb? Yep. BA. Yeah. You got the right letters. So we need to add BA. That's the only thing we do. Okay? So it's Laudabar. Guess what it's going to be here? Laudabaris. What do you think it's going to be here? Have our personal endings changed? Arister? Not at all. How about here? Laudabamer. Okay. Laudabamini. And laudabantur. Okay, how do we translate imperfect passive? I was being praised. Now this one, don't do I was praised. You need to add the being. Because you'll see next week. But so this now is no longer I am being praised, but we know ba is was or were, and so we're just going to use was or were here. I was being praised. Still have a past participle. Okay? All right. So got that easy. Laudabar, laudabaris, laudabator, laudabamer, laudabamini, laudabantor. Okay? Now, guess how we're going to make it future? What am I going to add? What's our future tense sign? For first, this is a first conjugation word. BI. Okay? So, we know we would have laudabow, so we'll have to have laudabor. Okay? Now, we should make this BI, right? BI. What would this be in our normal future tense? Bo, bis, bit, bimis, bitis, bunt. So it's bunter. Now, does anybody know in the passive where the irregularity is? One of these is wrong. Okay? It's this one. Okay, so instead of biris, it's beris. Okay, laudabor, laudabaris, laudabitor, laudabamer, laudabamini, laudabuntor. Okay, how are we going to translate future passive? Okay, what?
I will be being.
Okay, I will be praised. Okay, good, Luke. I will be praised. Do you see we still have our past participle? We have our future, and we still have a form of be or being. Okay, I will be praised. Who's going to praise you? Who knows? Okay, we'll find that out in a minute. Okay, now, this is first conjugation, and because third and fourth is a little bit different for future, let's go ahead and do a third conjugation, okay? So, let's see. Okay, what I want you to do on your piece of paper, I want you to take the word mito, and I want you to conjugate it in the present, imperfect, and future passive. Okay? So go ahead, just write out your forms. Mito, present, imperfect, future, passive.
What were we told to do again?
Okay, good question. That's okay.
I forgot the question.
Okay. What I want you to do is take mito, which is like our model for third conjugation. And I want you to conjugate it in present, imperfect, and future passive. What's the first thing you have to know? Somebody tell me.
Four principal parts.
You have to know the four principal parts. Can anybody help some people that might not know the four principal parts of mito? Does anybody know? Because in order to do this, we have to know our principal parts, right? Okay, so you know the first two, mito, materi, right? No accent. Okay, anybody know the other two? Missy with one S. And then what's the fourth principal part? Yes. Mrs. Two S's. Look at that. Enough ways to confuse us. Add one more. Okay? So we don't need these right now because what are we going to work with? We're just going to work with the second principal part. Okay? Now, what do you remember about third conjugation? I'm just going to keep talking because I'm going to fill the time. But third conjugation, if you remember, it doesn't have a macron. Okay, so the stem vowel there and the infinitive is short, materi. Okay? And because of that, in the present tense, the changes to I. Okay? Because it's short, it's not able to hold that long E sound. So in the present tense, it's an I. Mito, mitis, mitit. Okay, so keep track of that as you're going ahead and... Anybody want to do it on the board? Oh, I bet I'm going to have a taker here. No goes. Okay, that's all right. I'll do it. I'm used to this all day long. Okay, so we're doing present passive first. And you can check yours. Sometimes I'm wrong, but I just want to check. Oh, it's going to be hard to tell you. Let me check in the grammar book. You guys are welcome. If you think I'm wrong on something, you call me on it. Okay? But I'm not this time. So you can't call me on anything. Okay, this would be the question right here. But if you just remember when we did the future of the other ones, we had to change that I to an E, and we do it here also. Okay? Mator, materis, matitur, mitamer, mitamini, mitunter. Okay, did you get that? Everybody got it right? Okay, so now, did you already do the imperfect? Okay, what is your stem vowel? This is a really important question for the imperfect third conjugation. So before you put bar, what's the stem vowel going to be? Say it loud. E. Okay, so it's mitibar. Okay? Mitibaris.
So there you get the macron on top.
Yeah, actually these all do have, yeah, mm-hmm. Okay, so there you do. Okay, so mitabar, mitabaris, mitibator, mitabamer, mitabamini, mitabuntar, bantar. Okay, how are we going to translate this again? I was being sent. Okay, now, future. Who wants to tell me what they put for the future? Somebody be brave. Anybody? Normally, if it was a first or second, we'd go mitabor, right? But remember, what is the future of third and fourth? Es et, emis etis ent. So we can't use bobis bit. So we have to say, right? No, this is an A. Mitar. Okay. Materis. Miteter. See, now I've got the E. Mitamer. Mitamini. And then mitenter. Okay, see that E all the way through? Except right here because it's mitam, mites, mitet. So mitar, miteris, miteter.
So are third conjugations the first person, singular, future tense? Is it always an R?
In the passive. in the regular active voice, it would be
passive, in
yes,
passive.
AR.
But that's not an exception to the rule, that's the rule.
That's the rule for third and fourth, yes.
Okay.
Because the future would be es et, emis etis ent. And remember, with passive, all you do is you change the active personal endings to passive. Okay, so instead of an M, you get an R. Instead of an S, you get a ris, ter. But I keep the stem vowels the same. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. And how are we going to translate future passive again? One more time. Or we just need to say, I will be sent. Okay, just one be, being, or been. So I will be sent. Okay? Any questions? Is this as clear as the daylight? Nah. Okay, so let me see what time it is. I have time. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, open your books to exercise 200. Did everybody get this? You guys probably didn't. And I also have one more worksheet, but I don't know if it's somewhere around here. Do any of you not know your Latin declension endings? This is like I'm taking a rabbit trail a second. Do you guys all feel pretty confident you know your declension endings? I am. Okay, I'm not going to give you a chart. I'm going to give the next class a chart to just practice them. Oh, here. No. I have lost.
It's on the back.
Oh, that's where it is. It is on the back. Okay, so that's just I'm going to take you a break from passive for a second. Okay, to go over this. Okay? Because it's sort of important. I hope you all did you guys take one of these? Okay, because you want one, because this is like your assignments. Okay? Oh, let me give you this too. Okay? Okay, so on here it says, plan on spending 1 hour a day on Latin. Okay? To get the most out of this class, spend an hour a day. Okay? This time what I've done that I haven't done in the past is I've chosen exercises for you. I've looked through and tried to pick ones. They average 2 a day. Okay? Depending on, how your confidence with Latin will depend on how fast you get through that. Okay? Now, I know you've heard me say this 100 times, but the best way you can start your Latin study of the day is by reviewing your vocab. Okay? And that would include your 4 principal parts. Or if you're learning nouns, here, you need this one. Because I have 2 different ones.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you can use Quizlet, okay? And if you want to, you'll see I put on here, you can ask, I already have them on there, you can ask to join my class. In my class, I already have a bunch of Latin verbs in one separate Quizlet study. Okay, so you can just click on Latin verbs through chapter 15. Okay, so that will help you if that's where you're really weak. Sticky Study is great. It costs $3.99. But what I like about Sticky Study is you don't get the words over and over that you really know. Okay, so once you've answered it right 3 times, it goes in a I know this pile and you don't see it again. Okay, which I like because I don't like useless repetition. Okay, I want to do the work I need to do. Okay, then the other crucial thing is form memory. Okay, and so what I've given you is a recitation list. This is what I use. Okay, I never start a class without recitation. Okay, first of all, it gets our minds going, but I am convinced this is so beneficial to learning Latin. If you know your forms, you're not stuck in that grammar book trying to look up and figure out what declension this is, what endings, what case, what tense, whatever. Pronouns, okay? We learn lots of pronouns. In second year, you learn even more pronouns, okay? If you've learned the first year pronouns, by the time you get to second year, you don't have to relearn all those. They're in your mind, and it really is. When you see on the word and you see IS, Okay, and you're like, oh yeah, I know that's the word is. Okay, right? But what does it mean in Latin? What does the word is mean in Latin? Anybody? Any takers? It just means he. Okay, it's the subject pronoun for he. Good job. Okay, but you know, a lot of people see that and they're like, I have no idea. And it's hard to find pronouns if you look in the back of the book in the vocab. Okay, it's really difficult. Anyway, so you can do your flashcards. I find most people don't want to make them, and then when they make them, they lose them. So, I mean, to me, that's probably the bottom of the pile for y'all. Okay, but there's advantages to writing them out and connecting brain, pencil, paper. Okay, so that is good. Okay, another thing I want to say, and you can read all this, but I can't teach you everything. There's no way. I don't have enough time. I run out of time. You have to read the lesson. So this week you'll see it's lessons 17 through 20. I beg you to go read all 4 or 5, however many that is. So, I don't know. I'm not good at math. Okay, however many of those lessons are, read them. I haven't covered everything, I can promise you. Okay, I'm just trying to cover the major things. Okay? Okay, then, did you know, this might be a surprise to some of you, that as you're going along in your Henley book, it says, read grammar book, numbers, blah, blah, blah? It's a really good idea. It really is. It will also tell you things. I can't beg you enough. It will tell you things that are not in here. And if you don't go to the grammar book and read it, you're not going to know it. Okay, and so then you might go along for a while, but then you're like, I didn't learn that. Sure you didn't, because you didn't read your grammar book, right? So read and when you get to challenge 2, they don't even put anything in the book. Okay, everything is in the grammar book. Am I right about that? You have to use the grammar book, so you might as well train yourself now to do that. Okay? Okay, that's it. I'm done with that. I just want to make sure that you guys are on board with... Okay, so now look at exercise 200. Okay? And we're page... Let's see. I'm kidding.
181.
Oh, okay. All right, so this is... Bye, guys. See you in 2 weeks.
Actually, it might be.
3 or 4, whatever. We'll be in subjunctive by the time you get back. Okay, so what they're asking you to do here is to take the active voice and make it passive, right? So let's look at WOCO, okay, becomes what? Okay, it's first person singular. Yep, so we know, what are our passive endings? Let's just review them. Arister, mer, mini, inter. So if we end it in O, it becomes or, right? Vocor. Okay, right? Okay, now what about this? Tereo. Terreor. Okay, so it just becomes terreor. Okay, terreo, terreor. How about audia bomb? Remember M, audia bar. Okay, so bomb is our first person singular, and so is bar. Okay, for the passive. How about terabomb? Terabar. Ladabo. Ladabor. Excellent. Monebo. Okay, das. So S becomes ris. So instead of das, take off the S and add ris. Doris. Okay? Mones. Monaris, right? Or monaris. Okay, depending on where we're not gonna spend a lot of time talking about where we accent all these different things. Okay? Okay, agit. Agatur. Excellent. Okay. Sustanet. Sustenatur. You see, you just take the T and make it tur. Okay, let's go over to 25. Kolakabunt. Exactly. Okay, now, Kolakabunt, who knows what that word means, koloko? To place or station. Okay, so how would we say, if I told you what this word means, okay, I'm going to just prove that you need to do vocab review anyway. Okay, kolakabunt, how are you going to translate that?
They will be, what does it mean?
Oh, but it's an active voice right here.
Oh,
So they will what? Station. Okay? Okay, they will station. Now, if we do kolokabunter, how are we going to translate it? They will be stationed. Okay, so instead of they will station, they will be stationed. Okay, does that make sense? Okay? All right. Now, we need to talk about a couple of other things. We said the subject in passive is not doing the work. Okay? Is not doing the action. So who is doing the action? Okay, that's what we need to talk about right now. Okay, in Latin, what do they call the things or the people doing the action in passive voice?
Direct object?
Not in passive voice, okay? In passive voice, we're going to have two different things, okay? We're going to have either an ablative of agent or an ablative of means, okay? And I want to teach you a little bit about that, okay? If you haven't, some of you have covered that, and for some of you, this is brand spanking new, okay? So let me talk about this sentence. I was eaten, and what can we put?
By zombies.
By zombies, okay? Okay, now, okay, who is actually doing the work?
Zombies.
The zombies, right? The zombies is what's actually eating, okay? Now, is a zombie, now this could be a little debatable, but is it a living being? We're going to decide yes, right? Zombies are living, right? Okay? If your person that's actually the one doing it in the passive voice is a living being, okay, like zombies, we call it an ablative of agent. Somebody said that ahead of me. Excellent. And just think of 007, okay? Agent 007, James Bond, is a living being. And that's how you can remember that ablative of agent, okay? Now, if you have an ablative of agent as the doer of the action, okay, you need a form of ob. So you'll use before a consonant, and you'll use ob before a vowel, just like our English on, okay? So zombie starts with a Z. We don't know the Latin word for zombie, but since it starts with a Z, we would use an A, and we'll just put it, nominative plural second declension. By zombies, okay? Now, let's do one. I was eaten. Let's do by the king. Who knows the word for king?
Rex.
Okay, Rex. What would the ablative of Rex be? Yeah, you got to do that. Rex, regis, regi, regem, reget. Okay, so we got this. Starts with a consonant, so we still just need that. Okay? Okay? So I was eaten by zombies by the king. Okay? Now, can anybody think of something we could be eaten by that's not a living thing?
Greed.
Oh, what'd you say?
Greed.
Oh,
Oh, that's good.
oh, wow. Wow, that is a really good one. I want to think of a thing, though.
Oh.
But that could be a thing, like that's a concept, right? By greed. But how about I was eaten by the sea? Okay, I was eaten by the sea. So that's not living, okay? It's not a living being anyway. We'll say that. I sort of think of the sea as living. Okay, but it's not a living being. So we call this now an ablative of means. Okay? So you could say by means of the sea. I was eaten by means of the sea. And in this case, I'm going to just put one of these. You put the thing in the ablative case, but no a or ob. Okay? So, and the Latin word for see is mare. Okay? It's actually a neuter noun. And in the ablative, okay, let's see, I stem, it's going to be, I know that's confusing, but you can just trust me on this one. Okay? I should have used this word. Anyway, mare. It's just in the ablative case, no r ob. Okay? Let's see if we can, okay, if we know the word for sword, right? Okay, so we could say I was killed by the sword. Okay? So is the sword living?
No.
Okay, so which ablative do I need? Ablative of means. What's the word for sword? Gladius. Okay, and I love how somebody just gave me it in a nominative. Okay, so am I going to use arab? Ablative of means? No, it's not a person. I don't need it. So what's the ablative of gladius? Gladio. So I just say gladio. No. Okay, and I was killed. Acadi. Gladio. Okay? Does that make sense? Actually, this isn't good either because I better not do this. We'll put it in the imperfect. I was being killed, and then we have akadabar. There we go. Okay, I was being killed by the sword. Okay, I'll get to I was killed later next week. Okay, so you guys understand those two things? Ablative of agent is a living being, okay, and you need an a or ob, okay, and ablative of means is not, it's by means of a cart, by mean, whatever, something that is non-living, and you put it in the ablative case without the a or ob. Okay, so I'm going to need to stop there. Okay, are you going to remember to read all those chapters? Okay, hold on, let me stop.